Hey everybody, Chris Ramaglia here with BroadBased Communications.
And I'm Chris Gregory with Dagmar Marketing.
We're going to be talking about some digital marketing topics and some trends for 2019. So Chris and I have worked together on several mutual client accounts. Their specialization is with PPC and SEO. And really today what we wanted to talk about was some of the trends that we've seen emerge for 2019, as well as a guest post we recently did to kind of kick off the year and promote both of our agencies. The post was on video marketing, and really just wanted to get, Chris, some of your thoughts on why do you think video content is so effective with SEO?
Video is just another form of content for your website, and so the more of these different media sources that you have in your content, then Google recognizes that, and as well as other search engines, that there's a lot of well thought content on this website. So video, checklists, forms, those types of things really allow Google to judge whether the content is good or better than your competitors. So having video answer questions, it allows you to do a lot of video carousels come up in search now, so you can't rank for that if you don't have video.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about the long form content, and we found it as well. It's a great way to incorporate into your digital marketing funnel for when people first hit your website. The statistics show us that 98% of the people that visit your website aren't going to take an action. They're going to consume your content, they're going to read about the people in your company and your products and services, but the chances of them actually picking up the phone and calling you or filling out web form, contact form are very, very low. So when you incorporate this long form content into the mix, you give them something else to do, and more often than not, that's submit their name, contact, email address, some basic contact information. So if it's a quiz, you get them to take the quiz, and if they want to receive the results, they have to enter their email address. It could even be if they're watching a video similar to this. If you offer up like 3 tips, by the time you get past that first tip, there's a prompt that comes up, and they have to enter their email address to see the other 2 tips. So some really creative ways you can mix in that long form content and use it to drive your prospects down the funnel.
Can I take some of those tips?
Yeah,
those are some good tips.
Yeah, I'll send you an invoice after we're done.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I think dovetails into what Chris is saying is how many touch points you need before you can get that conversion. So a few years ago, you could get a one-click close. That doesn't happen anymore. So if you're having a landing page that the first time they interact with your business, you're asking for their email address, you may not get it immediately. So you need a bevy of content. Social media, all these different channels are a touch point. And so it used to be three touch points, and you could get something out of it as a lead or their name or a phone call. But now it's considered closer to 7, and I'm starting to hear more like 12. So when you think about all the touch points that a potential client has to have before they feel comfortable giving you their information, you really need all this content, and long form content, video, all of that plays a part to make someone feel comfortable. So you have to provide some value before someone's going to give up something in return, mainly their email address. So, and then you have to have a funnel once you get that lead, because you can't just follow that up with a sale, some kind of sales call or sales proposal. So the client may not be ready for that. So you have to lead nurture them, and that requires more content, more video. So I think what we're seeing in this space is just the vast amounts of content that's required to actually get someone to feel comfortable to actually be a lead.
Yeah, we see that with our clients. A lot of times, one of the main pain points we hear is it's just it's overwhelming to create that much content. And one of the ways that we found to kind of combat that, if that's the right word, is really start looking at, what are the main questions that their clients are asking them or their prospects are asking them, and building pieces of content that can almost be evergreen, meaning it doesn't really get old. And once you have those pieces in place, you can just kind of keep repurposing them as they go throughout the funnel, and it gives you a lot of fuel so you can start hitting some of those touch points.
Right.
Have you seen, and I know obviously there's a benefit from an SEO standpoint to having that rich content as well.
Right, I think a lot of the things that people mistaken with a content plan is they build all this content, but they don't necessarily go back and revisit it at any point in time. If you're spending this effort building the content, number one, it needs to be really good content to start with, but going back every year and adding more to it, making sure it's relevant for that year. Maybe something has changed, maybe you need to update it, but you're reinvesting in content you've already invested in. And so a lot of people don't like to go back and do that, but it's really smart, because then you can update it to be 2019 relevant. Yeah. And I see a lot of people putting 2019 in the title tag. So when someone sees that shows up in the search engines, it's more relevant, so they click on it. So it adds a better click-through rate. So really, if you're making this content, you're making this investment, you need to go back and update it. So I think that's a really good point, Chris.
Yeah, and again, going back to the pain points we hear all the time, it's, how can we keep it updated? Do we have to, continue to, call on our own resources and pay you guys more money as the agency? And one of the best ways to do that, again, is by incorporating video and just finding more creative ways to do it. So if it's, maybe interviewing new team members that weren't a part of the content you produced in prior months or even a prior year, trying to get, some client testimonials,
right,
if that's appropriate.
Those are great videos, by the way.
Absolutely. And I think to your point, when I Google things, if I'm looking for specific information about, trends and the kind of stuff, the research that we have to do for our clients, if it's from like 2016, I don't even pay attention to it because things move so fast. So definitely that's a good tip on, making sure you identify that this is 2019 or even, March 2019, right, et cetera. Again, from a pain point perspective, what have you been hearing from some of your clients? What are some things as it's almost the first quarter's over?
Right.
What are you hearing so far this year?
Well, I think for a lot of our clients, especially when there's multiple agencies involved and there's a lot of moving parts, the biggest pain point that I think most marketing managers have and CEOs is, how's all this working? So you have all these different channels, you're making all this content, social media, SEO, PPC, email marketing. So how do all of these channels boil down to what is actually working? And so I think that's a challenge. And I don't know that anyone has the perfect solution for that. As a matter of fact, it doesn't exist, because the issue is you can't boil all of these channels down to one variable. Okay, so if you're looking for that pretty executive picture, it just doesn't exist, and that's what's causing a lot of pain points. Instead, social media has its own metrics, has its own ways to judge it, and usually they try to tag an ROI on it, and it's just not typically an ROI channel. It is an awareness and retention, those types of things. So I think each media needs to have its own metrics, and I think if you can put it in those buckets instead of trying to make everything fit in one bucket, then I think you're going to have a better understanding of what's actually working.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, for us, it's a balance with our clients. We use dashboards and things that kind of automate the reporting process, just for the simple fact it makes it easier to get information out quickly, right? So if a client wants an update, weekly or even daily, to jump on a phone call or send an email and do all that, that's going to incur time, which incurs fees, and right, clients don't like to have a lot of fees, right? So again, if we can automate that process in the form of a dashboard and then back that up with a custom analysis,
I agree,
that really digs into the data and provides our insight on it as the agency, I think that typically is what they're looking for. If we have access to sales data and understand, what their salespeople are doing with the leads that our campaigns are generating, I think that's when we could really close the loop, so to speak, and give them a really clear picture of what's working, what's not, and where we need to turn those dials.
No, I agree. I think what we call the aggregate view, that's what those dashboards do a really good job with. And so as a manager, you're just looking for a quick analysis, okay, a quick snapshot. So dashboards are great for that. What they're not very good at is drilling down into the data, and that's where the real stories are. So just keep that in mind as a marketing manager. If you've got your favorite dashboard, that's awesome. But when you need to really find out what's really working, maybe by city or by individual content, that's where you have to dig a little bit deeper, and that's where we can come in and help. So don't, as valuable as these dashboards are, spend some time in the data, getting your hands dirty and really seeing what works. I think there's a lot of gold nuggets come from that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that was good. I think we got a lot of good info out there, and certainly want to make this a regular series as we continue to go and kind of talk about some of the things that we're hearing from our respective clients, stuff that we're seeing out there, just in the general trends that are going on. So hopefully, again, can make this a series. You got anything exciting coming up from the Dagmar side?
No, we're just really embracing this content restructuring. So we're putting on a new website that's going to have a lot of content on it. So we're trying to practice what we preach. We know that's the hardest thing to do in this business. So we're seeing a lot of different trends now in SEO. So we can talk about that the next time.
Excellent.
Yeah,
we've got our series, our digital marketing survey results that are coming out. We put that together in January, compiled the results last month, so we're working on getting the final edition out. That's going to go e-blast out to all our lists, and as well be published on our website too, so I'll make sure you get a copy as well. So yeah, we're hopefully we'll be getting together in a month or so and doing another one of these videos. If you have any questions or any topics you'd like us to cover, we're going to go ahead and throw up a URL at the end that you can just visit there, fill out your form. You don't even have to put your name in. Tell us what you'd like to talk about, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. when you said throw up, your eyes going to go, bleh!
Wasn't that what they said?
So I wanted to
They
do
always say
that.
that in the videos I watch.
You looked at me and
Man.
lost it.
Yeah, man, I can't help it. I'm mesmerized. All right.